so that them people can get in and out of that area. They ain't dumb.
Might leave
And if you want to see it all the plans for it is all downtown in the city county building.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
So you can go down there and ask to see all of that. They got plans down there for the next 20
with
years.
the
With, it's the,
real estate?
yeah. It's not called that, but that's basically what it is. It's on the main, it's on the first floor. So you go in the city county building, so all of it's in the end, like you're going out the back. It's in that area, and
shopping will start talking. You're like, well, damn, they didn't even warn me.
Look up, Marlene. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Social Flex.
How are you? We are your Social Flex hosts and guides. I am Carlisa Turner. I am 42 and I am widowed and single.
I am Sierra Tompkins. I am 43 and I am single.
I got nothing extra there. Welcome to tonight's episode. Tonight we are going to be talking about foster care and what it means to you. If you have experience with foster care, if you have an opinion about foster care, if you want to learn something about foster care, you have come to the right place. Because we're going to be talking about it. Tonight we have an interesting panel. We have two adults that are going to share their experience with the foster care system. We're supposed to have a third guest. Hopefully that person chimes in at some point. If not, you wish them well. So I'm going to change the calendar. You can introduce yourself.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Ladina Anderson, and I am a former caseworker.
My name is Jeffrey Nash, and I am currently a foster care parent.
Well, welcome to the Social Flex.
Welcome.
Thank you for being a returning guest.
You're right. And
You are loved and welcome here always.
Always. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you all.
Coming on and sharing your experience. This is a topic that I know nothing about. Here to get educated about it.
We can educate you. Well, we're going to learn and chat and explore together. That's what we're going to do. So, this topic, I guess, was born probably out of my experience with the foster care system, because I have been a foster parent for quite a few years. And while the kids are amazing, the system, in my opinion, is not. You know, I haven't had the brightest experience with the system, but it's rewarding nonetheless, because the reason I do it is to help the children who need help. Why do you do it, Mr. Jeff?
Initially, it started out as something that myself and the girl I was dating at the time were doing or wanted to do. She had had previous experience with it, so she was just kind of like introducing me to the whole thing and the whole process. And initially, I didn't think it was something that I was going to even be able to do. But we, picked an agency to work with, and we started going through that process. And unfortunately, throughout that process, me and her decided to go our separate ways. But one of the things that I appreciated about the foster care agency that I chose is that they were still like interested in me being a foster care parent. It wasn't something that I thought initially that I would be able to do alone. I thought that it was only for like couples, but they, quickly assured me that it was something that I would be able to do alone. So, I prayed about it, and then I went, came out, God answered, and I came through the process, went through all the long hours of training, and I think that was probably the most challenging part, was the trainings and having to learn all the information and the rules and regulations around foster care. And then this past April, I got my first child. He's 17 years old. One of the things that I did decide through that process is that I only wanted teenagers. One, because of my work schedule, and two, because those are the age demographic that are typically the most difficult to place. So I felt like that was, again, another part of my calling to do it, is just to focus on the kids that, at times can present the most challenges. So that's why I did it.
Why did you get into the foster care system?
I didn't technically get into foster care. I got into child welfare.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was probably a godsend, because I initially had gone to school to be a elementary education teacher, and so that didn't work out. And it didn't, but I found social work, and I naturally help people. I love to empower people, encourage them, and do for people. So actually it was a methods class for social work, and my instructor, the former Marsha Hort Lewis, who had actually worked for the county at that point in time, had suggested that I apply for the county. I'm like, I'm gonna try it. So I took the test, and I was interviewed and was offered the job, and started out casework. And I think it was 24 when I started, and I was clueless. I don't know what I'm doing, but okay. I had a wonderful supervisor, wonderful crew. When I first started, I was in training, and I had a family where the children were removed while I was in training. So my supervisor and my coworker had to remove a number of children. And yeah, she was like, you don't need me. Those were the wild bunch. So that was my introduction of having a family who would have to deal with the foster care system. So I had to learn how to go to court. Least of my favorite things to do. I hated it, every second of it, but I did it. And then going out to like the foster homes, meeting with the youth. I think one of the important things that I learned when I started was just to be able to tell the truth. If you didn't see your kids, say that. And Kids Voice was one of those, back then, they were real hard, like, did you? No, I didn't. Like, I don't know what else to tell you, because, your caseloads are big, and that's just what it is. And at that time, I think there were probably a lot more children in foster care. We're outside of home placement, and not just kinship care, but like stranger kinship care, or care. And that was my introduction into child welfare. And I've been there going on 23 years with the county. But I did 19 of those years in child welfare. And I ended up going, So I did that, and I ended up going to, which was called night intake, and that is where you go out, you still have cases, and you would go out at night because all the day staff are gone, but you still get reports and you have to go out. So that was an experience within itself. And from there, I transitioned into independent living, which I loved. And from there, I did transitional age youth, which is kind of the same thing, but it was setting up a plan and a course for what they wanted to do once they exit out of care, and just trying to have a plan for them. I think I most enjoyed my independent living because a lot of my youth I still engage with, and they're like 30 years old, and I'm like, I met you when you were 16, and you're 31 now. Like, but they still appreciate me, they still come to me for wisdom, questions, or resources or anything. Just so happened this past Sunday, I was just walking into church and one of my youth was like, Miss Ladita. I'm like, hey, like, she was like, I just been wanting to see you. And I'm like, because you never know how you're gonna impact these children, whether they're in foster care, whether they're independent living, whether they're doing the transitional age youth program or whatever it is. It's just what you bring to the table. So I know that I made an investment or an impact in some of these young people's lives, and I appreciate that. Was my takeaway from that everything that I did within my time there, somebody got something out of it.
Has your experience been mostly positive?
So, no. Within the first month of having my foster son, he caught a case,
Oh.
Mm.
and it was so I had 6 of my own children before I got into this, but they're all adults, and I never, like, none of my kids ever really got in trouble. So it was a whole new experience for me to deal with, like juvenile court and things of that nature. And then just the nature of the crime was something that I had zero experience with. And I had to, probably the biggest challenge that I had was that I had to put my own bias aside for what he was being accused of doing, and still figure out a way in which to be supportive of the challenges that he put himself in. So we're still dealing with the courts and all of that, and because of where he is socially and where he is academically, having some challenges and some delays, there's like evaluations to determine can he even stand trial for what he's being accused of. For me, my biggest thing was just like, I don't know if he did this or not. I wasn't there. He wasn't at my house when it happened. So I can't give an opinion as to whether or not this is something and it was early in our relationship, so it was like I couldn't even say if it was something that he was even capable of doing, because I was still getting on. One of the things that I was adamant about was that, considering some of the trauma that he experienced prior to this court case, even the trauma that he experienced that even got him in the foster care system, was one of my first questions to his team, because they have a CWAF caseworker, they have a case manager from the agency that we're using, and then there's, kids' voice representatives, and there's just like all these different people that you have to kind of navigate, and then, you have these people calling you at all times of the day. So it's like, who is this? Where are you from?
Yes, that's my least favorite part. is
Yeah.
The amount of agency.
Oh, okay.
And then the disconnect, in my opinion, from their reality is like, so you don't get that.
Right.
Okay.
So it's like
How do you handle that, though?
that's the most challenging part.
So
It's
for
like
me-
it depends on who you have. In my opinion, anyway, it just depends on who you have as part of his team. And if they're on it and they're on top of everything, then I think that you have the potential to have a good experience. But if you got, like you said earlier, if you got a case manager that got 40 kids on his caseload or on her caseload, she's not going to be able to manage some of the issues that you might be. You might not hear from her for a week or 2 weeks, whenever she can get a hold of you. So I think that's like the biggest problem with the foster care system as a whole, is that there's so many kids and not enough staff to balance it out.
Absolutely.
So my least favorite is the amount of agency, but also the lack of accountability, at least in my opinion. I can't speak for everyone as a whole, but my experience initially was like, where is the accountability? So how I got involved was I had a relative whose children were being removed from the home. And so I have 9 kids. Most people don't know that, but I do. I have 9 children. And at the time, I had 7. So 8 and 9 are fairly new. But I had 7 at the time. And there was 5 kids that were removed from the home. So you put 5 on top of my 7. Okay, so when they first removed the kids, they just took the kids in like the middle of the night. And then we went to court a couple days later, a day or 2 later. And what I found astonishing was that the caseworker had just decided, I'm taking these kids. There was really no reason. You know what I mean? She was on sick leave or on vacation. So whatever was going on in the case before she went on sick leave, there was no movement in their case the entire time she was on sick leave. The supervisor was supposed to be taking over, but no one did anything.
Okay.
So when she came back off sick leave, she wanted the mom to do something, and the mom went into the hospital. So then she went down to the court. It was like, okay, well, you're not gonna do what I told you to do. I'm just gonna take the kids. And she found a thing to have the kids. Eventually, you have to be at court tomorrow if you don't want me to take these kids. And so, of course, she's in the hospital. So how can she be there and in the hospital? And she had pneumonia at the time. She was in the hospital fighting pneumonia. So she goes, gets a court order to take the kids. She goes, she gets them. So when we're sitting in court, because I'm puzzled as to why. Why? I just needed a reason. So I'm sitting there and I'm listening to them go over it, and the judge is asking the caseworker, like, well, when's the last, in last September. He's like, what's current? I don't want to hear about last year. I don't want to hear about last. What's current? She's like, well, I was on sick leave. And he's like, well, so if your boss or whoever didn't do what they were supposed to do, I don't understand why you removed these children. You guys dropped the ball. Why is she being penalized? So I'm like, oh, great, she's going to take her kids home, right? Wrong. The reason why she couldn't take her kids home is because she was due to go into treatment that following Friday. And so the judge's question to her was, how are you going to be a mom and be in treatment? And she's like, well, I won't go to treatment if that means I can take my kids home. He's like, well, no. No.
We want you in treatment.
You go to treatment, they said, but you have a family, it's a unity supportive family here. They're going to take care of the kids, and as soon as you get out of treatment, you come back here, you take your kids home, go on about your life. Unfortunately, that for her was like the breaking point.
Okay.
because all rationale officially went out the way. You're taking her children from her. And her children are her reason to press forward. You remove that reason, she had nothing to lose, and she never could just kind of, no matter, there was no bringing her back from that. Right, so we end up with the kids, and so we're all under the impression that she's gonna do what she needs to do, she's gonna do this, she's gonna do what she's supposed to do. I'm the most, and most of the family was like, she ain't. And I'm like, yes, she is. She loves these kids. She's gonna do right.
You're so hopeful.
My husband was like, we mind our business. They say, I think sometimes this is not a good idea. And I'm like, this is family. What are you talking about? Like, we have to stand up. If it was me, it's not you. You're not, you wouldn't be in this predicament. That was not the same thing. Don't do it. She's not, she's gone. Don't. I'm like, no. So I took the kid anyway. Before leaving court, we'll call him the middle child. Middle child had a meltdown because when they took the kids, they just spread the kids out. They put these kids in a group home, the babies in a group home where they were abused. Mm-hmm. Yep. They put them in a group facility where they were being abused. They put the third to the youngest and the oldest in a home over here. And then they sent middle child to live with his biological father who he's never met before. He don't know this man from Adam. And of course he's distraught, he's emotional, he's in a home he's not familiar with a person he doesn't know. And this man is mad at him because he's crying and he's upset and he's mad because he wants his mom and he can't have his mom. So now he's being aggressive and abusive. But you find that out when he has this meltdown because they're like, well, you gotta go back with this man. And he's like, no, the hell, I'll kill myself. I'm not going to do it. Like, absolutely not. I'll jump off the ledge. And he's like having this full meltdown. So I kind of sat back because I wanted to let the professionals handle the situation, and they couldn't. Nothing they tried, nothing, no intervention they tried to provide. So when he was sitting on, in the family court building, the chairs that are bolted to the floor.
Yeah.
He was behind those, crouched down, like on the ground, like literally bawling, like having a full meltdown. So I sat down on the floor with him. Obviously, I can't fit back there, on the other side, and I'm talking to him through like a little crack in the chair. And I'm sitting on the ground, and I'm talking to him, and I'm asking him questions, and I'm like, well, what is going on? I said, I understand you're upset. I understand you're emotional. I think you want to do it. But explain to me why, specifically why, so that I can fix it. Give me the chance to fix it. So he's like, well, he. And I'm like, he? Who specifically was he? And he's like, him. And I'm like, him? this man? And he said, he's like, he's telling me all the things that the man did to him. And I'm looking at this man like, well, I said, well, don't try to explain. Just he gonna make me mad. And we're all in the right place to go to jail. Let's not explain.
Honestly.
Just shh for a second. So I'm talking to him, and so then I'm calming him down. And I'm like, can you come from behind there for me so I can hold on to you? We can talk more as we can move. And I'm hugging him and we're talking. And he's like, I don't want to go back with him. I'm telling you, if they send me out of here with him, now I'm going to do it. I promise. Blah blah. And I'm like, I'm not going to. No. He's like, I just don't want to go. I want to go with my mom. I said, well, unfortunately today, you can't go with your mom. But once the paperwork is done, you can come with me. And so he's like, well, I want to go with you now. I want to go with you today. I want to go with you now. So see what I ended up having to scramble to hurry up and do the paperwork, like rush it real quick so I could take him home with me that day. Okay. So he came home with me that day. The third to the youngest and the oldest was ding dong ditched. I wasn't even home. She had threw them on the porch and she was getting in her car to drive off. And I pulled up like, baby, and she's like, oh, there they go.
Wow.
No bag, no clothes, no blanket, no pillow, no clean underwear, no soap, no deodorant, nothing. Just
Nothing.
Thank God that there's 1,000 kids in my family. So it's just like, just play the hand-me-down game. You start shuffling stuff down and they're bullies, so it worked out.
Okay.
But just nothing. Y'all don't give them nothing. So I'm like, well, where are they supposed to sleep? They don't have a bed. Well, just do it like grandma's house. Everybody just sleep on the floor. I said, if they can sleep on the floor, then why aren't you sleeping with their mom? What you giving to me for?
Yeah.
They could have stayed with their mother. They could have stayed at home. At least they had a mattress. Like, what are we doing? And that was my experience consistently. It was just nonsense after nonsense after nonsense after nonsense. The 1,000 agencies. They didn't want to do the family book thing. You know, they got the lady that comes out that wants to do the book. You get the lady with the book? Oh, wait till book lady come around. Wait till book lady when I come around. Them kids hated book lady. They did not want that book for nothing in this world. They,
What is the purpose of the book?
Yeah.
To connect them to their family.
because it's already a traumatic situation. Where did you connect with? It feels like it's further traumatizing.
Well, he like in my son's case, he can't. They're not going to do that just because he's not. Well, first of all, he's 17. He'll be 18 in November, and because of his circumstance with his biological father had passed away from cancer, and his biological mother was the trauma. So there's technically an order of no contact between the two, but they still, I mean, like, one of the things I'm learning about our foster care system and our juvenile justice system is that their focus is really on reunification with the parent. Even if the parent is not the person that really they should be unified with. The
You
parent
have to
is,
make reasonable efforts.
the parent is
I
the
don't
trauma.
feel like they did that.
You know what I mean? And then like in this case, like the parent was the main abuser. So it's like, why would you want to reunify him
Probably because
with
they
her?
probably make her go through all this therapy and stuff. Because I have a friend that went through it. She wanted me to take her kids. I told her, hell no. I don't want to know nobody else. Strangers' kids, please, only. But they sent her through so much. It made her have to do so much mandatory therapy. And I think that in their mind, it's like rehabilitation, like, you know, to kind of give you a different process of thinking and give you tools to deal with the stresses, I guess, of parenthood or whatever.
Yeah. But
So
my
I'm
thing is,
assuming
it's like, dude is
that
going to be
that's
18. He's basically going to be an adult in 2 months. Like, unification is a wrap. He's grown.
Well,
And if he decides that he want to be bothered with Mom Duke's cool. If he decides that he don't want to mess with her,
What about other family though? Like, you know, like as far as grandparents, maybe aunts,
So-
uncles, other siblings.
so my understanding is that when the trauma happened between him and his mom, he initially went to another family member. It was an aunt or something, and apparently there was the aunt was like, you know, they do second chance because that's kinship care and all that kind of stuff. So he was going through all type of programming there and all of that. And then because of the delays that he has, the aunt was kind of like, from my understanding, is that the aunt was kind of like overly aggressive with academics and all that kind of stuff. So they would get into these huge fights and arguments, and he would run away and all that. And she just got tired of it and was like, "I'm done. Like, I'm done."
Old school method of parenting, it just doesn't work anymore.
Right? Old school don't work.
It just
So
doesn't work.
she she called CYF or the foster care agency and told them like, "Yo, I'm all the way done. Like, y'all got come get him, or he's already gone. Go find him. One or the other." So then what happens is and this is where we're talking about like all these different hands in the pot. So now he's no longer in kinship care. He's in a group home facility. So now because he's not kinship, now he loses the services at a second chance, and he has to go to a different agency, which is now he's with,
Yeah, they're constantly changing that,
Yeah.
like Shelby.
he's with, the agency that I'm with, Three Rivers Youth, and now he's working with a whole different case manager now, whole different team of assistants and all this other kind of stuff that's helping. These are all now a whole bunch of new people that he don't know, that he gotta get to know, that he gotta learn to trust. You know what I mean? All of this stuff is going on because him and his aunt couldn't get along, and y'all, like, at least I thought, like, they should have kept him with at least the agency that he was already with. But when I talked to a second chance, because I got a friend of mine that works for them, and he knew my foster son, and he was like, "Oh, you ended up with him?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, good kid, blah 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 blah." And first thing out my mouth was like, "Well, why ain't y'all keep me?" And he right out of his mouth, like, "We only do kinship." And I'm like,
Which is weird because I
That's
took my
dumb.
next to the last foster kid. She was through a second said, "Oh, girl, wasn't related to me." I mean, I knew, but she wasn't related to me.
But I don't.
I'm
so
not sure.
I gotta put like because I know at one point we were going to do that with my ex's. Technically, he calls her his little cousin, but they weren't like technically really
Related.
blood related.
Mhm.
But I don't know if it was because of just the talk of it, like that's the child being like that's
That could be
my
possible.
uncle, cousin,
But that
whatever.
was my
Right.
experience. I literally don't have no attachment. I know this little girl, she cheered with the loud. Like I don't know her.
Mhm.
But
Like, I don't. I
But
couldn't pick her
But the
family
child
out
could have
of
been
line.
like, "That's my Aunt Corley's
It's not. It's not.
Just, but it's still like the connection that she has, like she knows of you instead
Okay.
of you being a stranger. But I wanted to get back to when he was talking about why the agency is still trying to reunify. And so there is a thing called the Adoption Safe Families Act, which is you have 15 months out of 22 months to rectify whatever brought the child into care in order for them to go back. So once the child is removed from the home of origin, they still consider it reunification.
yeah, but in this case, like, this parent is like incarcerated.
Regardless.
She's gonna be there, so she's gonna be
Yeah.
there well over the 22
Got
months.
Got it. But
And
the goal is always gonna be reunification. If your parent that, of the child that you might be fostering is not a good parent, and you may feel that the child should not go back, the law states that they have 15 months out of 22 months before the court considers any type of goal change.
Okay.
So I have a question. Get back to situation one. So I would have thought that should be the goal, that by any means necessary, we should try to put these kids back with their mom.
Mhm.
It felt like inside that they were constantly undermining that process.
Let me just caveat. The goal, the law says reunification.
Okay.
How services are implemented, because we are all human beings and we are all trying to either provide a service or take care of children that are in our care. Like, you can have the agency who is trying to make sure that the family is reunified, but then you might have a kinship care foster parent or just a regular foster parent that kind of try to prevent that from happening.
You know, the case.
Regardless, what I'm saying is the law says that unless it reaches that 15 months, it's going to be reunification. If things like that happens then you have to be able to connect with your resources in order to address those concerns. And I feel like the agency now, just the things that I do, and I will not disclose my current position, is that they are making efforts to ensure that all families are being respected and treated with dignity.
Is that something new? Like,
I'm not going to say that it's something new, but it is something that that they are intentionally
More of
putting
an
into
effort.
practice.
okay.
And that's just with our equity and inclusion. You have to make sure that these families are being taken care of. And then, not only that, we are looking internally about how the agency practices services with families, no matter who they are. You know, because there are a lot of us who are engaged with the system and its services, and it may, history of it is that it may not be as favorable outcomes as it is for other populations. And so if that occurs, again, I say, look at your resources to see how you can address those concerns, because most times we're not addressing those concerns. I'm not saying that that's you, because you're very vocal, you're an advocate. I know this. Look, I
But a
know.
lot of times when you're looking at a parent that has other challenges that may have, caused her to, neglect the child or whatever.
Mhm.
So like, how can I use these resources when I'm worried about keeping my lights on? Or I'm worried about, am I going to even have enough food in the house for the kid? Like
And
if
you're
they're
supposed to
not,
make sure you do.
if you're not dealing with the systemic stuff that's going on, then in that parent's life, then there's no way that they're gonna be able to focus on doing, or looking for those resources all the time.
So you are like in a foster. How long does the process take? Like for if somebody wanted to go and be a foster parent, how long is the process?
It's just, it doesn't have to be that long, but for some people, it can be a little bit longer. You can find kinship foster parents who don't want to go through the process. Like, once you start talking about, you gotta do foster parent training, you gotta submit to a background check and stuff like that. That's how people get put into, stranger care, is because you have family members that don't wanna do all of that.
Yeah, like dude, like my foster son, he got plenty of family. I know him. I know, like he got an older brother. I know his older brother. I used to work with him. Why ain't he go with his older brother? Older brother don't want to deal with the challenges that come along, the responsibility and all that.
And I
So it
wouldn't
was
fault
like-
them for it, because you know what you're able to handle.
Right.
You know what I
I was
mean?
just asking because I do.
But like my process, it took me, I started the process in December, and I got my son in April.
Mine was like literally every time was like overnight.
See,
I'm
and
like,
that's
yeah,
what
I'll
I
do
was
this. Like, oh my
asking
God,
for
look,
because
sign here.
when we went to
Which y'all can mock them on.
me and my ex, when we were trying to going through the process with his cousin, it was because she kept running away from where she was at, and she basically told him like, I want to go there. So it was like we did the paperwork, and they were like, okay, she could be here. Like it was a situation where I think that like
I think it's
if it
probably,
was something
like,
different,
if
we
it's-
wouldn't have had to do paperwork.
Yeah, I think if it's one of those things where it's another family member, there's corners that's cut. In comparison to me as a stranger foster care parent, they want to make sure that that kid is going to be safe.
And sometimes it could be a need issue, like if the child is in imminent danger, because one of my foster care, she was allegedly in imminent danger. And they're like, we have to get her moved now. Yes or no? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And it was like, come meet me tomorrow, fill out this paperwork, and she'll be all done. Like, you know what I'm
And
saying?
there's less you
She'll
have
be
to
here.
do once you become a foster parent. You have to do like the retraining, or, you know what I mean, the yearly certification, but other than that,
Yeah, I mean, like, they came and like, the day that they, like, I guess it was I don't know if you call it an audit or a home visit or whatever you call it.
Home assessment.
Yeah,
Assessment.
they did that and they were like, okay, like, we're gonna do this background check and when y'all clear, she's here.
Because if they do the background check while they're there and nothing comes up or comes back, then yeah. That makes the process easier. But when
And
you
for
have,
real,
you
for
go
that
to
background check, as long as you ain't got nothing against no kids,
right.
they gon'
Well, not necessarily, no.
Well, they sent me
because
through, and I had a background. I was,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I mean, and that's
I
cool.
was gonna say,
Maybe
yeah,
something
yeah,
they has
my
changed. Like I
sister-in-law,
said, I've been
she
out
was
of that
some of her regular, you know, she
for
don't
a
adopt
minute,
kids.
but you
Yeah,
know,
her
maybe
third
something
adoption.
has changed. But I
'Cause
know.
I didn't think I could do it because of my background. I was like when dude called, I was like, yo, dog, I got a background. Like, y'all
Yeah.
gonna let me have a kid? And they was
Sometimes-
like,
but
it was
sometimes
like, you ain't got nothing against
that
no
can be
kids.
the
And
thing
I
that
already was working with kids.
Makes a
through my
difference in a
job.
kid's life because you can relate to them
Yeah.
on a different level. You know, anyone else who doesn't, who's never experienced certain hardships or had certain legal experiences, they cannot possibly understand or relate to whatever this child is struggling through.
Yeah.
Because you think of this child is just making these random choices when it might just be about survival. And then you as someone who has a background can reach them on a level of understanding, like, listen, hey, you've been there, done that, about to teach you. Okay, listen. Let's try it this way. Let's try it. This is what I learned through my process of blah, blah, blah. So I think it was great of the system to decide to be a little bit more lenient in the
Yeah.
background process because those experiences are beneficial to reaching some of these children.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, my background has definitely been beneficial, you know, because I also like, you know, I work with kids, you know, through one of my jobs that are, you know, in the juvenile justice system. And that was one of the reasons why the organization that I work for, that's why they hired me, because they was like, you know, it's a lockdown facility that I work at. And they was like, yo, you're the perfect person that can kind of like deter these kids or get them to change, you know, based on, they're going to respect the fact that you've been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've been incarcerated. You've been in a juvenile facility, so you know the ins and outs and how to navigate it and how to convince them that you don't want to come back here. You know what I mean? So it definitely has been, you know, I've turned it into a benefit versus allowing it to continue to be a deterrent in my life.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is. I don't know. So the process is gonna take long. What about like, so I know a couple people that are foster kids, tried to get them to come on the show. But like, sometimes you hear horror stories, like in foster care, they did this to me, or like what's the process like of the background check? Like, do they go into depth sometimes to?
Oh yeah. So when I first started, I had a foster mom who had, she was a kinship care foster parent, and when I got the case, the kids had been with her for a number of years, like as we talked about the ASPA, and they were ready to adopt, but they wouldn't allow, like, it wouldn't be recommended, and this is what I was talking about when talking about a background, because she had a background, and even though there was nothing recent, they were going off of what happened back 45 years ago, and they wouldn't allow her to adopt these children. So they were just went back and forth to court, and she's like, I'm gonna adopt these kids because we're not gonna keep doing this. And I believe it was after I had the case that she eventually was able to get all of that squared away and adopt these children, so they wouldn't have to keep going back and forth to court.
That's crazy because like one of the people that's in one of these agencies, they totally recommended. They was like, yo, you really, because you don't know all of the trauma that the kid has experienced, whether that would be, mental health, whether that would be physical abuse, sexual abuse, all of that. Their recommendation is that as a foster care parent, you don't necessarily want to adopt. And I was like, why not?
That's crazy. They shut them long-term down.
But the reason why is because once you adopt, all the resources are then cut. Like, you ain't getting no check, you're not getting no health care, you're not getting no. So if
For the child?
like, oh, that's done and over with. Like, yeah, that's what I was told.
There's still something,
It
some
was
type
like,
of, I forget, there's a lot of
Subsidy.
dependencies on it, but there is still something that they qualify. I can't remember what, you probably know this.
It's an
What
adoption
is-
subsidy.
What is called, after you adopt, that there's still, now, if you make $300,000 a year, you're definitely probably not gonna get that.
well, that's what they look at the income and
You
they're
don't
like,
make that
you
type
got
of money,
put,
because I know
you
somebody
got,
make that
like,
type of
instead of
money.
them having,
She don't take none of the
like,
money.
if I adopted my son now, I would have to
Still
put him
follow
on
that?
my insurance and pay for that.
It still happens?
Versus
You make the money?
He got free insurance through the agency. So it's like, for me, I'm like, I still have him. So,
And she
We can
can
talk
tell
about
us.
that after. I mean, because
Like,
there's some
why-
things that
why-
I want to share that I don't want to share.
Yeah, but
why would I take away all of the
You
potential
wouldn't.
resources
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
But
you
they're
would
not
have?
gonna take that, and like I said, because they wanted me with my first family, my first set of kids, they wanted me to do, it's not called long-term, but permanency. They wanted me to do permanency. And my answer was no. Not because I don't love these kids, not because I don't want them. I keep them for as long as I'm allowed. But I cannot go through the adoption process because my oldest son wanted to be legally adopted by my husband at the time. My oldest son changed his last name, everything, so he was his son by every other stretch of the imagination, but he wanted a document stating, he
That's
wanted a
my
birth
dad.
certificate changed, you know what I'm saying? That this is my dad, this is my father. And because we couldn't do that, we could have, but it would have cost.
Right.
It would have cost because his father wouldn't fight for nothing else but the right to still be on our boy birth certificate. And nothing else to do with this child at all. We wanted to change our birth certificate. He was like, absolutely not. So, but because I couldn't give my child that, I can't rightfully
Give it to
bring,
him.
you know what I'm saying? I
You
can't
didn't want to.
throw that in his face. And I wouldn't. I
And
didn't
that's
even
crazy
consider
because
it. I was like,
I didn't, so like before I decided to be a foster care parent, I went back to my own children and I was like, how would you feel if I did this? And I think initially, like, my kid was like, Dad, that's what you want to do, go right ahead. So I was like, I'm thinking they good with it. So I do it. And then when I got my son, I was like, I was stopping past my biological son's house, and I was like, I said, oh, yo, man, you gotta come out, meet dude, da, 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 da. My kid was like, no, Dad, we ain't ready for that. And I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean you're not ready for this? Like, I asked you guys if this was okay, and they were like, Dad, it's okay for you. You know what I mean? But it's not necessarily okay for us yet. We're not saying we ain't gonna get there. And we respect what you did and we think it's great and all that kind of stuff. But the whole, like, you wanna, like, you're our dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
Like,
giving all that good dad away to somebody else.
yeah.
It was, ain't enough daddy around as it is. You're messing it up. Messing up the reputation. What do you think we're doing?
But in my mind, I'm like, y'all grown. Like, my kids is all adults, but they
I told my
still
friend, I
had
ain't never too
that.
grown for you to still be my mom. And you still be my kid. I'm trying to act like I'm aged out of this program.
Shut
You're
up.
still my parent. Like, why do you keep trying to do that?
Right.
You're still. I didn't ask for this. Okay, you brought me here. You're still responsible for me.
So they,
I won't let you go forward.
they still, they still haven't necessarily met him. But they ask. They ask. Like, they'll, whenever I'm talking to them, they'll be like, how's dude doing? I'm like, he good. When you coming past?
They're opening up.
Well,
But I just feel as if, because there are so many youth who are in these placements that, you know, like group homes and things like
Yeah.
that when people take them in, I feel like that's the love and care that they need. They don't need to be in a group home. You know, so when you bring them in, I think that people should be able to love on them. I don't, you know, maybe it's just like that territorial thing.
Yeah.
This is my dad, but this kid needs a parent.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need a system to try and raise you. You need a person to raise you, and at least you have a good person of character and work ethic to be able to pour something into you, and that the fact that he
Yeah.
has that.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll just come around.
Yeah, because it's dope. Like,
It's needed.
I mean, it's definitely
It's
dope.
also great that he has a seemingly good kid, because he could have one of them.
Yeah, because that was the whole,
Right.
like,
I
when it
had-
first
I
started,
had
when
one
this
of them.
process first started,
I had-
they just kept saying,
I
man,
had
he's a
one of
great
them.
kid, he's a great kid, he's a great kid. And I'm like, these niggas is lying to me. They just want me to take this school, dude.
No, they'll tell you the truth. They'll warn you.
But-
Because when I
well,
talked to
when I
young
got
lady,
him,
it was like,
he-
girl,
he
you sure,
was-
you sure you want to do
He
it?
was everything
know you
that they
did?
said he was.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's
and,
good.
And then he grew like you know, we've grown on each other. You know what I mean? And he was like, "Yo, do you mind if I call you pops?" I was like, "All right."
Okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I had one of them though. The young lady I said that I told that was cheering my daughter.
You told me about it.
They warned me though, because when my daughter came to me like, Mom, you know, she's in the bed, she's with her, and I'm like, alright. So but then they called her like, now you sure you know? Girl, listen, you know she's a lot, and and I'm like, oh, I be thinking I can save anybody, yeah. Oh, that's no bad to me.
Girl, you're a superwoman.
And she was accustomed to getting her way and doing what she want to do. But I made that clear also. I was like, listen, this ain't the fun house. This ain't the cool house.
Structure.
I'm cool, but I'm not that cool. You know, you're not gonna be running the streets and just doing whatever you want to do. I have rules. You know, she had this little boyfriend that she wanted to get behind. No, probably not. You're probably gonna see very little in him. That's not, and not because I don't like you, and not because I don't like him, because the answer is no for everything. It was no for the boys. It's no for the girls. It's just no. It's because there's other things you need to be focused on, like academics. Keep your head on straight. You know what I'm saying? Being smart. Acting like a lady. You know, you worry about the wrong stuff. You know, that didn't work, so a lot of our falling out was because she wanted to get behind that boy, and I'm like, yeah, ain't much smoke in my house. She wanted to vape. Can't be vaping in here.
Okay.
You can't be vaping up in here. It's not gonna work in here. But, you know, like I said, so that ended with her trying to have me put in jail. Arrested. So that wasn't great. I was glad that I have friends that could walk me through
Yeah.
sensibly, because I was literally losing my mind, concerned that people were going to think that I was this person she was trying to pay me to be. But also that ultimately the truth did, you know what I mean, prevail, because like, what are you talking about? The story she was telling, like, whoa.
That's what I
Wait a minute.
like this whole thing with
I could not have possibly done that.
right? This whole thing with his court case and everything. I'm just hoping that like they realize who this kid is. You know what I mean? Like, this is not something that, in my opinion, at this point, that he would have been capable of doing. I'm like, what? Like, once as we've gotten to know each other, I realized like, nah, he, you know,
Yeah.
he couldn't have did this. You know what I mean? Y'all, you know, I don't care what people were saying. I just, like, you know, like dudes on the spectrum and everything. Like, there's no way he, you know, that he could even grasp it.
Right.
So, hopefully, as these, because we gotta get all these different evaluations and all that kind
It
of
is
stuff.
a lot. It's a lot of moving
Yeah.
pieces. It's a lot of moving pieces. And that was also annoying for me too, because like these are my only kids. Like I have other children who had a life.
And you got lots of kids. You
Before
got 12 kids in your
These
house.
kids got here,
Trying to
well,
do
ultimately, my other mom
services
ended
or
up
anything
taking
for-
2 of them.
But what I'm saying is, when you have more than one kid,
Yeah.
trying to get people to where they need to go, if they have services or whatever,
It was
you know,
a
that's
lot.
a
And then there
lot
was
to
a school on the
coordinate.
other side of town, and there wasn't transportation. So I'm driving from this side of town to the south side of
So
town.
I was lucky
and
they-
back 2 and 3 times a day. And God forbid one of them got in trouble, so 3, 4
Yeah.
times a day. It was.
I will say
a
that, like,
lot.
the school district that he's in, hands down supportive. Hands down supportive.
That's great.
They was like, oh, he's moving from here to here. Yeah. I'm like, you know, do I gotta transfer him to, you know, this school? And they like, oh no, we love him. We're gonna keep him, and
There's a
we're
long
gonna provide
way
a
that
we're gonna,
McKenzie Venta.
Yes, I can't
Yeah.
ever think
Right.
of this. I know it's 2 names.
I had
but
to do
we're gonna
that.
provide a bus for him,
They
and
have
every
to do that.
every morning the little van pull up, the lady go back to school.
It took months
They
for me to get a
called,
little van to pull
Like,
up.
yo,
Mm.
tell
Months.
Dante that we gonna be out there at 6 o'clock.
Sorry that you had that
blah, blah, blah.
experience.
And he was like, I was
Just
like,
a
yo,
little
what's
$10
up?
Johnny will gift card.
And
I'll do this. I'll drive a truck, baby. We'll do this little gift card. It's not putting a spit of gas in this truck. Okay, calm down. What do we do? It was like that's what. I got this little $10 gift card. This
20 days a week. Look.
$10 gift card for a car that takes 70 to fill up.
Listen,
Big.
okay, that was nice, but I'm driving from Wilkinsburg. At the time, I lived in Wilkinsburg. I'm driving from Wilkinsburg to the back end of the south side.
Oh, we're in Baldwin. Baldwin School District.
No, it was the city.
Garrett.
It was in the city. I don't know. This school was back in the back street and it cut off of the grid somewhere. It was a mess. It was. I don't remember what the name of the school was, but it was literally in the cut. I had to go through changes to get to this school.
Where you say it was?
3 days on the south side.
Up top on the hill.
I don't know. It was back behind.
That sound like
narrow
us.
street about this big. It was a hot
I forget what school.
mess,
it
and
is.
I'm like, "Can y'all? Okay, well, we're working on it. We're working on it. We're working on it. Oh, here's a $10 gift card to help out with what? This $10 ain't gonna feed them. It's not gonna fuel them.
Right.
It's not gonna do nothing. I can't do this. This is not gonna cut it. This is really not enough. Look at
sorry
the
you
mileage
experienced
I'm
that.
putting on this car. When I say that my experience was trash,
I'm
it was
sorry.
trash. Like, I'm like, y'all are
Sorry.
supposed to be helping.
Yeah.
You're not. You could have, for what I feel like I went through as a foster parent with these kids, you could have left them with their parents. I still could never understand truly why, other than the fact that you were just mad at her because she didn't want to do what you told her to do.
But see, that's not how.
It's supposed to work?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
did.
No, and I say that because
Well, sometimes
anytime.
stuff falls through the cracks.
This
No,
was
there
a crater
are
the size
checks
of the
and
Grand
balances.
Canyon.
Excuse me. There are checks and balances to when you're removing a child. You just don't. They don't have the authority to take a piece of paper, write on it, and say, "I'm taking your child." You get what I'm saying? So there's a whole
No,
process
she
to
finished
that.
it. She was called out on it. She definitely finished. The judge was very.
I mean, she might have
He was
finessed
teed off
it.
at her.
No,
Like,
no,
why would you do
no, no, no,
this?
no, no. I'm not saying whatever that person did, that's on them and they're higher ups. But what I'm saying, there are checks and balances. You can't just go and say, "I'm going to remove your child." That doesn't work. You have to be. When I was a caseworker, okay, you had to have a staffing. And that means everybody comes to the table and you present why you want to remove these children. And then they will say, well, you can take that request and send it down to juvenile court. If they approve it, then so be it. You're going to remove those children. But I'm saying that that staffing says that you are meeting with other people to say, I believe that these children need to be removed, and this is why. You get what I'm saying?
I
Now,
understand.
whatever that person did, I don't know.
I
I'm
know.
just saying,
I'm
off my
thinking-
past experience,
said it's supposed
I've
to be
never
a
been
protocol.
able to just be like, I'm taking your kids, because I don't want them.
Yeah, I understand.
I don't want the hassle of
understand.
staying out until 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, because I gotta pick your kids up, put them in the car, take them to the hospital, get them physicals. Hopefully, they found a placement. Then, wait for the foster parent, or I have to drive them to wherever they're going. Now I gotta put these kids back in a car. They probably don't wanna go, they're crying and all of that other stuff. So I'm doing all of these things, and I may not get in or be done with what I have to do until 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. Who wants to do that? You're not getting no extra bonus
And they don't
to
get paid
remove
that
a
much.
child.
I'm telling you, like I said, I can't speak to no one else's experience. The only experience I can speak to is mine. Like I said, it started off with this, the way it was explained, the way I understood it in court, because I listened very well. I listened quite well. And I listened so that when it was my turn to speak, I had my bullet points already ready when it was my turn, because I was majorly confused how we got here. I was even more confused after listening to her allocute her reasoning for why this had to be a permanent situation or whatever. And when they're asking us, are you okay with anything, or do you have any questions? I have quite a few. Because I'm not understanding why. And then, if that is your reason, okay, what interventions were put in place for this or that or this or reason or that reason? And she had her reason, well, I sent in specific this agency to help her maybe with housekeeping. But she didn't want to work with this person. But did you ask her why? When people are dealing with their own mental health and their own traumas, and there are certain things that people can do that are triggering. And if this person makes me uncomfortable in my home, why won't you just find me a different person? Why are you still trying to shove this person down my throat? And I'm telling you that I'm uncomfortable, and this is why I'm uncomfortable. This is going to be counterproductive. The goal is to help, to be helpful, not a bully. And consistently through my experience, the lady was a bully. Like a bold bully too. And then her understudy, who she was training, I guess to
She said
be
her minion.
her. That's how it came across. Her minion, her understudy, who she trained, was just as bad, if not worse, because she would do things that would divide us all as a family. Because at one point I had 3 of the kids, and my mother-in-law had 2 of the kids, so that we could kind of just. But we wanted to keep the kids together, right? You're telling me one thing, and you're going to tell my mother-in-law something else, and then you have us believing it's one way, then we sit in the little teaming meetings. Come sit in the boardroom with all the people around the table, and then we're finding out it's something totally different. Now we're ready to jump shorty, and this isn't even the truth. You've been lying to us the whole time. Like, what is your end game here? What is your point? Or you tell me something, and then you go run to give my mother a different dollar. Now she's mad at me, and well, you told that lady. Why would I tell her that? First of all, I don't even talk to that lady when she comes. I sit on my stuff, I let her come do what she got to do with the kids and go. I don't even say hello. So how you doing today? Because I had no use. At line number 2, I was through. I didn't want to participate at all anymore, because this is not going to work. If the goal is reunification, you keep hearing that word, reunification. I was like, exactly, please, can I get a definition of reunification? So I'll make sure I understand it to mean what it means. And when they give it, I said, so if the goal is to put these people back together, how are we doing it? If everything you do is divisive. If everything you do is divisive, how are we reunifying? You're giving this woman no reason to fight, because you're telling her on the back end that she's never getting her kids back. You told the father of 2 of them kids that he couldn't even leave her and go get his own place and get his children himself. You told him he had no rights whatsoever. Why would you tell that man that that's not true?
I'm so sorry.
Why would you say that? And now the kids have been adopted out, and he really can't see his kids, and he's dying and he can't see his kids.
I'm so sorry. Like, I don't even have any words. Yeah.
When I say my experience with all of them, the whole
None.
thing
I
with
have none.
trash.
I have none.
Trash.
I have none.
I hated the foster care system for a long time based off experience A. When they come knocking on my door about taking a kid for an emergency, I'm like, well, who's the caseworker?
Rightfully so.
Because I'm not about to deal with so-and-so, so-and-so, or such and such. The last one with kid boys, I just felt like kids boys needed to grow up hairballs. That was my issue with them. Like, if you're supposed to be these kids' attorney, I'm gonna need you to be like a bulldog. I'm gonna need you to go hard about it. Why am I louder than you for what this kid needs? I need you ladies to grow. You
I
grow
have
way too
not,
soft.
I have never had that experience. Like, that's why I would go to court and I'm like, when I tell you my stomach was all in knot, for real, I hated court because you're on the hot seat. And even with their attorneys, like, when I came through, I know that my children who were in care had some really good attorneys. Like, well, they need this. Are you able to do this? So,
Very soft.
I don't know.
I don't know if they're necessarily soft. I think that they're overwhelmed now because there's just so.
They
many
were
kids.
overwhelmed then, but they still were able to be like, hey, this kid needs that. Can CYF pay for it? You know what I'm saying?
So, now my message was that I needed a full-size loft bed so that she could comfortably sleep, because her and Delilah were gonna have to share one. And I was like, in order for this sleeping arrangement to work, to make sense of the room and the space in this bedroom, I need a full-size loft bed to go above my daughter's queen-size bed. It's the only way that you're going to be able to sleep comfortably. Because right now they're co-sleeping, and that just can't be appropriate. It just can't be. Not that they care, it's just one of her place. Fine, but this is what I need. See what the judge said, yes, Ms. Turner needs that, give that to her. The supervisor doesn't see what I said, no, that's not. So with this twin bed, I said, well, where am I gonna put it? On the porch? Where do you want to sleep at? I need it this way because it's the only way to accommodate her living arrangement. No. So we went to court again, and I'm on the Zoom, and I'm like, Ms. Turner has something she'd like to say. I said, I believe the last time we were here, you said that I could get a full-size loft bed for this child who is still sleeping in the same bed as my daughter. Why are they sleeping in the same bed? Because you said she could add something and see what I've said no. God, they're looking at see what I'm like, no, it doesn't keep it. Well. My supervisor informed me that we only provide a twin-size bed. She said, I don't. Make an exception. This child needs. I said, this isn't a vanity thing. This is a need. This is necessary. I said, I'm gonna send video or photos. I mean, we can have court here the next time. What do you want to do? This is what she needs to be able to sleep in a home that's already full of kids. That I'm trying to make an accommodation here, and they're not working with me. So they're, okay, well, I'm gonna call Select myself, and I'm gonna this judge. So then I get a call from the furniture company, and still trying to deliver a twin-size bed. I said, please keep that bed. I cannot do nothing with it. I can't make it a trundle. I can't do nothing. The girl needs a full-size loft bed. Well, you buy it and we'll reimburse you. I'll play this game. You won't get my money again. Y'all don't pay payback. Y'all don't pay.
Your credit bad.
As hell. As hell. It'll be a frosty day before you see that money back. Absolutely not. My experience is we're trash.
And again, I say, I mean, I don't have nothing else to say. I'm just sitting here like, for real?
Am I lying?
Listen,
Was we down on the waterfall like, do you believe it?
I just know they called me like for a reference. I'm like, yeah, she don't. I mean, she got 50 other kids at her house. I don't know what me giving a recommendation is going to do for you.
Listen,
Okay.
that's just crazy to me. It really is. It's crazy to me.
Then they
because-
tried to recruit me. I'm my
That's all. They take anybody.
Can't do it right now.
They'll take anyone. You
Right.
get a kid. You get a kid. You get kids for everybody. We pay you. And late. They gonna pay you late. They gonna pay you late. They gonna pay you late. My kids was in private school. initially.
Mhm.
They had to come up out of that. I couldn't afford that and these kids.
Yeah.
Man, that's how they had to leave their school. Like, where you
I'm
living?
sure.
Where do you, we have to go to public school? Public school?
Wow.
What?
Mm.
To this day, they hate public. Can we go back? I don't like it here.
Wow.
Only when the bankruptcy.
I'm all kids. Listen, that's crazy.
But y'all was never gonna sit back. I should have known they
That's
were
crazy.
lying. When I sat there, I should listen to my husband right there, like, you right, man. I mean, they never hear what it is. Kids.
Listen, I think, listen, you gotta know when
What
to
you
hold
get
them and
into.
when to fold them.
You gotta know
Even
when
as
to
me
hold
doing
them.
casework, I was gonna take my great nephew, and at the time, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't. Like, I visited with him and all of that, but when it came time, I was like, yeah. I'm already handless. I'm living with my parents. I really was at the time. I was like I said, there's just no feasible way for me to do it, where I would have. So, but he was able to be adopted by a relative, so that was the good part of it. Yeah, but I did the visits and all of that. We went weekly, me and my youngest son, so, and met with him.
That's nice. I hate when they make the kids go to a visit that they know the parent ain't gonna show up for.
Mm.
That used to kill me, because for me, I hated it because it would disrupt my household. Because these kids go all the way down there for this visit, the parent don't show up,
And then
they come back and they're in a state.
They in their feelings, yo.
They're in a state, and it's like, now I got to deal with this for the next 6 hours. And to get them to just come back into,
24.
Lord, it would drive me crazy to be so mad. Or she would call, you know what I mean? It's not like there's a no contact order. I mean, in these
Well,
mass situation there wasn't. And then she make all these promises and then don't deliver these promises.
And then, yeah, some foster parents who just don't send a kid. And to the visit.
I was told I couldn't do that.
You're
Because
not
I was like, they're not
supposed
going. No. You have to send them.
to. Yeah. Because
I forget what the penalty threat was. And I was like,
It's a court order
no.
visit. The kid needs to go. But I think they've done better with like measures of, hey, you need to respond and confirm in a certain number of hours or the visit is canceled.
Mm.
So,
Man, we would go on visits and she wouldn't be
Yeah.
there. And then would lie like, I was there, I didn't sit back, like, if you don't stop that. It was cool. I used to let her come stay the night with them, you know, whatever, come spend the night. And then that was over. After, I forget what she did. And I said, oh, Christmas. Christmas was her problem. Now my own kids couldn't have Christmas. So instead, all the older kids didn't get Christmas that year, just the younger ones. So that would have been Jamari Kaya and the youngest of her kids, that in my care, the youngest of her kids in my care, were the only kid that got anything on Christmas for Christmas. The older kid, that's Shaka Louie, Delilah, and her oldest son that I had in my care, and her oldest two sons that I had in my care. They didn't get anything from us or the honey. So she went on a spree to provide them with gifts of her own for Christmas. So we invited her to my parents' house and let her and her sister come and give the kids these gifts or whatever. But then, you know, then the rumor mill starts. Oh, Rosa took the money and didn't get the kids nothing for Christmas. And I forget what shady things she tried to say that I did with this money. And I'm like, girl, first of all, what money? First of all, what money? Second of all, if there was money, how much you thought it was? And third of all, what money? What are you talking? What money? There's no money, baby. There's no money. You know who gave these kids this Christmas? Toys for Tots. The Salvation Army.
Listen.
Who? You know who gave these kids this Christmas? My mom, though, if anybody knows my mom, my mom is all the holiday mascots. She's Santa Claus, she's the Easter Bunny, she's all of them. She's a little Cupid on Valentine's Day, she all of them people. So what the kids did get a few days later is these tall, life-size, self-size gift bags full of stuff. Books, jammies, toys.
Okay.
whatever, clothes, this, that, and the third. My mom spends thousands on her grandkids, and these are now her grandkids, every year for every single holiday. Except, sir, I stopped even doing Easter myself. Because I'll be down. I'm not going to spend all the money for her to drop all this foolishness off. Absolutely not. I'm not getting both, not out of me. I'm taking Easter off. So, you know what I mean? They got all this cool stuff. And so she's talking, so I don't post my business, you know, on social media. But now, since that's what we got with it. What about these pajamas? What about this? What about that? What about these books? What about that? My mom made sure them kids had a Christmas. You calm yourself down. Matter of fact, my mom's nice enough to let you come have Christmas with your kids at her home. She don't want you behind in her house with your issues with the peanut gallery. But that was my experience. And though anytime she would get mad at me, she would make up some grandiose thing that she would tell them, and I would get a visit. I'm not feeding them, so now I'm getting a visit. And they're checking my pantry and my cabinet. What are you looking for? Oh, we're just checking things. I said, no, but specifically. So my mother-in-law called. She told them you ain't feeding them kids, so they came to make sure them kids eat. So they asked me, do I think you be feeding them? That's how it is. Why don't y'all just give them back to her? That was just all I kept saying, that just give them to her. Then none of us have to deal with it. Why can you keep calling the shots?
Because she can.
Why is she in charge?
Because she
She can
can.
just give her kids
Because she
back.
can. And I tell people that all the time. I have people who will call and they're like, why, you know, so-and-so's always calling CY for me. I say, as long as you got a kid, you're going to get a call. Ain't nothing you can do.
Why not just give her kids back then?
But sometimes those kids are there and they still get called. You get a petty baby mama or dad.
Oh, I done
and
seen them do that.
you get the phone call.
For sure.
You get what I'm saying? And
The
they
mistress.
come out every week.
The mistress that cost stitches. Like she beat up on them kids.
No.
Now the wife was mad at her. She just mad because she want my husband. I've been present for that.
That's crazy.
She took the kid. My bonus kid. They took them out there and dropped them off. Like, yeah, keep it for a while. And she called while the guy was there doing a little intake thing. And she's like, you already know this is just a mad woman because she want my husband. And she about to get him. Look like, you ain't gonna have these kids. You better figure out a way to get along. Or make her the sister wife or something. I don't know what you wish she was. I did tell her to be a sister wife. What do you want, peace? Just welcome her in.
Absolutely.
I said, what you want? What you want, your kids or your husband? You can't have both, okay? You got to make a choice.
I can't stand you.
I'll take the kids. I don't got no beef with you. I get them every weekend anyway. What's the other 5, 6, 7 days? Yeah, there was the other 3 or 4, 5 days a week. What you want? You want your man or you want these kids? What's more important to you? She need to leave my husband alone, but she's not. And the proof to you she's not, she won't keep reporting to see what happens.
Apparently.
You can't even sneeze at your kids or her call and see what happens. You might want to make her your friend. I tried to teach her to get like make her a friend. Bring her home. Bring her in. Have her for dinner.
We're still recording.
Bring
her over.
I done told you my story. I told you my story. We love her. That's Dave. What you want me to say?
Bring her over then. That's all I'm saying.
I'm being dead serious.
I know you are.
I know that sounds crazy, but bring her home.
Stop it.
Bring her home. That's the best. That's the only way you can win. You know what I'm saying? The enemy, make your enemy your friend. Keep your enemies close. Ain't that what they say?
Yeah.
Ain't that what they say? Well, I felt like it was
Hard
close.
for me.
Anyway, close out. It is after 9.
Oh, it's this.
People got work in the morning.
Facts.
I gotta go.
People got work in the morning. It is me.
I got work in the morning, but I still got to run around to do tonight.
I don't know. I'm gonna sit down there for 3 seconds, and I'm out. Do you have anything going on that you would like to share with the people, that you want the people to know, to support?
Support Bama. My book, Love Wins, Nikki's Tale, under Ladina Strutter. Did you read it? No. Y'all
Girl,
better
I
my
read it
book.
slow because this is as still as I sit right here.
Listen.
Thursday night, this is as still as it get for me. Otherwise,
I hear it's a good read and a quick read, and I'm not just saying that because I wrote it.
so I do. I thought my mom, I gotta keep it hidden because my mom keep trying to steal it.
I know
Barrel.
people that have read it.
That is still white folk. I'm like, whoa.
I know people
This
that
for
have
me.
read it that said it's excellent.
Oh, good. Tell them to go on Amazon and do a
Ready
review.
another one?
I'm in the process, yes. So it's
I
I did hear
it's going to be a little bit deeper.
From what I
Making
looked
a
at, it
movie.
looks, it's very
I
juicy.
am. Well, I'm not going to put that on recording, but
It's in
yeah,
the process.
yeah,
Mm, okay.
yeah.
Do you have anything going on that you would like to share with the people or have them support?
Oh yeah, Amber Sloan's having a book bag drive this upcoming weekend down in Homewood. So if there's anybody that would like to participate or that would like to help Amber out so that she can get these book bags in the hands of these kids, feel free to reach out to the Nobleman here at the Nobleman Lounge, or you can reach Amber directly through her Facebook page.
All right. Support the book bag drive.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Support that.
I've been going
Please and
to.
thank you.
I've been going to a lot of them. A lot of community days, book bag drives.
I went to the most gentleman's. You don't even know what I'm about to say. So let me finish it first before you assume what I'm going to say. The most rinky-dink, raggedy fair. When I tell you that after I know I let my kids ride these rides, but I had already paid for the little wristband before I let them ride these rides.
You let them
I
ride
swear to
fair
God,
ride?
they needed a tetanus shot. Oh, I swear.
Damn.
I'm not. When we talk, because I ain't gonna blast it, because I ain't gonna mess up the man hustle. But I'm gonna tell you about this old raggedy. This fair was, I don't know what swap meet,
Oh, a fair.
garage, salvage yard he bought these bags from. But I swear to you, I'm putting my baby on there. I wanted to yank her off so bad, like, what? But you know how kids, when you already promise them something, I'm like, oh shit, I need a blanket off the car. Like, you sure you want to ride that? You want to ride it?
No.
Well, she's like, she's strapping herself in, like, what you mean I'm riding? Like, ew. Ew. Anywho, you got anything going on?
Yeah. Tomorrow, one of the artists on the label it's a ESN. It's a disorder, like a tissue disorder benefit show at, where's this at? Squirrel Hill Sports Bar.
Oh.
So, donations, or I don't think there's a cover, I think they're just taking donations, to help support her, condition, so she can get treatment. So that's the 23rd tomorrow. I think it starts at like 6 or 7 or something like that. We have what we call a blend. It's local artists who are showing off their talents. That's August 30th at the Forge. I believe that's a $15 cover.
Forge in Wilkinsburg.
No, the Forge in the Winery, the Forge Winery in Homestead. And then we have Soldier Boy Tell 'Em is coming on the 18th of September. So
Where's he at?
Jerkles. I've never heard of it either. I think it's like out North Hills area. And then one of the artists that we have, his name is Kenshi. He's having an album release party at Bacardi's downtown. It's like an arcade. That's $30, but it's catered, and you get games all night for free.
That was creative.
Free games out
Yeah. Well,
like some free games?
his soundtrack is like game related. A lot of the songs have like video game background.
Genius.
Yeah.
Clever.
One of the songs is called Game Boy, so that was,
The thing.
yeah, the theme, how they incorporated that. Other than that, no, just working. I don't think I have anything else going on. Working, writing. I was in the studio, I did do a song.
Okay.
Pretty kind of excited about that. Not rapping in 10 years and just went in there and had fun.
Did we get the sample? Sounds like now.
Not yet. She got it. She just ain't gonna give it
Hard.
to you.
Hard.
She got it. She just don't want to share it.
I mean, I'll let y'all hear it, but I ain't trying to let the world hear it.
Okay,
You know
okay,
what I'm
I'll
saying?
take that.
Just because it's rusty, it's super rusty, in my opinion. Other people, it's like, it's
I
hard.
get it.
Like, but for me, it's like that's kind of whack. Like, that's terrible. So, especially with the beat, because the beat is hard.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm just writing, trying to maintain, stay focused. But one thing I do want to say to anybody who watches this, right now it's like kind of sort of election season. Make sure you got your stuff together. I feel like my family, like, left and right, something's happening. So just make sure y'all got your stuff together. Make sure y'all registration cool on y'all car. Make sure your background cool. You don't got no lingering stuff that you don't know about out there. Cause they are definitely they cashing in on it right now. That's about all I got.
Cool.
Well, my children are authors. Because I don't have nothing going on personally.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
No. I don't tell people my business. I don't share my business. I don't do that. No, unless the social flex is doing something public, we don't talk about it. We don't talk about word yet. Okay? It doesn't happen. But my children are authors. They have journals published that are, the intent behind them were to help children navigate through their own mental health, but also to give them a voice. So if you have a child that struggles with advocating for themselves, either one of my children's journals will be great. If your child expresses themselves more through writing, then my son's journal, My Voice, Your Voice Matters, journal would be, his name is Jamari Turner, Jamari Turner. You can search for him on Amazon and purchase the journal. If you put in his name, both journals come up. My daughter's journal, if your child expresses themselves more through art, they like to draw, doodle, color, paint, then hers is the How Do I Feel sketch journal, and her name is Kaya, Kyah Turner. And again, if you type in her name, both journals will come up because they are listed as the author of both. Well, all three of us. So if you type my name in, both journals will come up. So, but the purpose of the journals were to give children a voice. So if you have a child that's in school and they go through things and they're one of the kids that come home like, how was school? Okay. And you really want to know in depth of what's going on, then either one of these journals would be a great tool because it gives them a chance to write in real time what they're experiencing and then share that with a trusted adult as well as you so that someone can mediate or advocate for them on their behalf and help them exercise their voice in a constructive and positive way. But also so that they're not stuck carrying the weight of whatever is weighing them down around with them all the time. They have a place to put it. So that is what I have.
It's just not for kids.
No,
It's
anybody
for
can
adults,
use
too.
it. Adults
Anything,
can.
if you have,
Old people.
it's a way to release some mental health things. Like journaling and sketching or ways to release some things within your mental health. So I would suggest to mine, even as an adult, if you're not someone who's not openly really ready to discuss things, you could journal it or you could draw it and set it aside. And if somebody happens to, at some point, stumble across it or whenever you're ready to talk about it, there it is. But
So that concludes our episode of Foster Care on this day of the Social Flex. You know, it's Social Flex Thursday. You know, it's the best day of the week if you're in the if you have anything you would like to add, you can comment under any of the streams. If you have a topic you want us to take on. You can submit it to the Social Flex, you can submit it to Sierra Tompkins, or you can submit it to myself, Carlisa Turner. If you have anything you want to talk about, if you got a story you want to tell, and you can't tell it, but you want us to tell it for you anonymously, inbox us. We'll tell it. We'll tell it.
We might add a little bit of spice to it.
We won't season it though, but we won't tell.
Yeah, we won't tell it.
We will tell the people on our Flex Talk days. We will spill all your tea. for you.
Without letting it.
Anonymously.
Yeah, without letting them know it's your team.
Anonymously. We sure will. So, there's that too. Tune in with us next Thursday, as we're probably going to do an episode of Flex Talk, because we're trying to give our topics of time to marinate, to give people a chance to want to join the panel or submit questions or whatever in the meantime. But thank you for watching.
Thank you guys, and here at the Social Flex, we always want to remind you